What if I told you that your biggest breakthroughs, the career leap, the fitness goal, the life you dream about, aren't blocked by your skills, but by something hidden beneath your awareness? Let me share with you something interesting. Back in 1972, a Stanford psychologist named Walter Mischel ran one of the most famous experiments in psychology, the marshmallow test. Here's what he did. He sat a bunch of 4-year-olds in a room, placed a marshmallow in front of them and said, "You can eat this now. Or, if you wait 15 minutes without touching it, I'll give you 2. Now just picture it. Tiny kids staring at this fluffy white marshmallow like it was the biggest temptation in the world. Some sniffed it, poked it, even licked it and put it back down. A few distracted themselves by singing songs or covering their eyes. And of course, plenty of them just gave in and ate it right away. Here's the twist. Years later, when researchers checked back on these kids as adults, they found something wild. The ones who held out for the second marshmallow, they didn't just have willpower. They performed better in school, had healthier habits, and were more successful in their careers. That little test showed how much our subconscious patterns, things we don't even think about, shape our entire future. And this isn't just about kids and candy. The same subconscious programming shows up in the world's greatest performers. Take Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time. His coach, Bob Bowman, gave him a mental drill called the videotape. Every single night before bed, Phelps had to close his eyes and watch a movie in his head, himself swimming the perfect race, stroke by stroke, turn by turn, touching the wall, breaking the record. He didn't just picture the dream scenario, though. Bowman had him imagine the disasters too, like his goggles filling with water or his legs feeling heavy. And then, at the 2008 Beijing Olympics, it actually happened. His goggles flooded during the 200-meter butterfly. Most swimmers would have panicked. But Phelps, he just kept going. He had already seen this race 100 times in his subconscious. He finished blind, and still shattered the world record. That's the insane power of the subconscious mind. It's quietly running 95% of our daily actions, our habits, our confidence, our decisions. If yours is filled with doubt and fear, you'll keep hitting invisible walls no matter how hard you grind. But if you learn to reprogram it the way champions like Phelps did, you stop fighting yourself. You start performing like the top 1%. The question is, how can we actually reprogram our subconscious mind? Well, in today's video, that's exactly what I'm going to tell you. Hello, you are watching Metanoia, where we bring you insightful videos on psychological principles that help you reshape your habits, decisions, emotions, and identity, so you can create real and lasting transformation. In this video, I'll share 6 practical techniques that can shift the way you think, feel, and act. Because once you understand how to tap into your subconscious mind, you'll realize it's been running the show all along. Want to know what's the first important principle? Let me tell you a quick story. Back in the early 1900s, there was a French psychologist named Émile Coué. He wasn't some flashy motivational speaker, just a doctor who noticed something interesting about his patients. Instead of only giving out medicine, he encouraged them to repeat a simple line every day. Every day, in every way. I'm getting better and better. Sounds too simple, right? But here's the crazy part. Many of his patients started healing faster, not because of the medicine alone, but because of this autosuggestion. Their subconscious minds began to believe it and their bodies followed. Now you might be thinking, okay, but does this really work in real life? Let me tell you about Muhammad Ali. Back when he was still Cassius Clay, not yet the world champion, he had this habit that people thought was cocky, even arrogant. He'd stand in front of cameras or in front of crowds and say over and over, "I am the greatest." Now here's the thing, he wasn't the greatest yet. He was just a young fighter, still proving himself. But he said it so many times with so much conviction that it stopped sounding like a prediction and started feeling like a fact, not just to us watching him, but to himself. Years later, Ali admitted that he started saying those words long before he truly believed them, but by repeating them, his subconscious began to accept the idea. He carried himself differently. He trained differently. He fought differently. It was like his body was just catching up to what his mind already believed. And this is the first big key to unlocking your subconscious mind. Autosuggestion, or what we usually call affirmations. But here's the thing most people get wrong. They repeat affirmations like a robot. I'm successful, but inside their mind is going, nope, not true. And guess which voice the subconscious listens to? The doubtful one. So here's how you actually make affirmations work. Make it personal. Instead of vague lines, say things that feel close to your reality. Not I'm a billionaire today, but I'm becoming more financially free every single day. Say it with feeling. Your subconscious understands emotion more than words. If you just mumble it, nothing happens. But if you feel it, your subconscious takes notice. Repeat it consistently. Just like going to the gym, once won't do anything. But daily repetition, that's where the magic happens. And here's a small trick. Say them in front of a mirror. Look yourself in the eye when you say, I am capable. I am growing. I am moving closer to my goals. It feels awkward at first, but trust me, it hits differently. Think of it like planting seeds. If you water them consistently, one day you look up and realize you're living what you've been affirming. And here's the kicker. Affirmations are powerful on their own, but when you pair them with mental images of your success, the subconscious gets an even stronger signal. That's where things start getting really exciting. This is our second important technique we see next. Let's go there. Let me take you to a story from the world of sports. Back in the 1980s, there was a young skier named Jean-Claude Killy who was training for the Winter Olympics. His coach noticed something unusual about him. Even when Killy wasn't on the slopes, he'd close his eyes, hold his ski poles, and mentally run through the entire race. Every twist, every turn, every jump. He'd rehearse it in his head over and over. At first it looked kind of odd, like, why waste time daydreaming when you could actually practice on the snow? But when the races came, Killy skied with such precision, it was as if he had already done the course hundreds of times. Because in his mind, he had. He went on to win multiple gold medals, and sports psychologists later confirmed what his coach had seen. The brain doesn't really distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. And it's not just athletes. Let me tell you about Jim Carrey, the actor. Long before anyone knew him, he used to drive up to the Hollywood Hills, sit in his beat-up car, and imagine producers calling him with offers. He even wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered and dated it 5 years into the future. He kept that check in his wallet, visualizing the day it would become real. Guess what happened? Almost exactly 5 years later, he landed Dumb and Dumber, and his paycheck? $10 million. So what's going on here? This is the second big key to activating your subconscious. Visualization. When you create vivid mental pictures, your subconscious mind treats them like reality. It starts aligning your emotions, your confidence, and even your behavior to match what you've been rehearsing inside. Here's how to do it right. Be specific. Don't just picture success. See yourself on that stage giving a talk, or crossing the finish line, or shaking hands after closing a deal. The clearer you're seen, the easier it is for your subconscious to believe it's possible. Engage your senses. The more details you add, the sounds, the smells, the feeling in your body, the stronger the signal. When your brain feels like it's already been there, stepping into the real moment becomes natural instead of nerve-wracking. Do it regularly, just like affirmations. This works with repetition. The more often you run the movie in your mind, the more real it becomes to your subconscious. Think of it like rehearsing behind the scenes. So when the spotlight hits, you're not surprised. You're ready. Now most people hear about visualization and think, cool idea, but they never actually practice it. Or they do it once or twice and expect magic. But the real shift comes when it becomes a daily habit. That's when your subconscious really starts reprogramming itself. And here's something interesting. Once you start combining mental pictures with another layer of practice, your subconscious gets an even louder message. It's like turning up the volume on your inner programming. We'll talk about that next. Have you ever heard of the story where doctors gave patients sugar pills but told them it was real medicine, and the patients actually started getting better? That's the famous placebo effect. And it doesn't just happen in hospitals. Let me give you a true story. In the 1950s, there was a man named Mr. Wright who had cancer. His doctor gave him what he thought was a miracle drug. Almost overnight his tumors shrank, He felt energetic, and he was back to living life. Later it turned out that the miracle drug wasn't working at all. But Mr. Wright believed so strongly that it did, his body responded as if it were real. That's how powerful belief can be. And this brings us to the third technique of activating your subconscious mind, harnessing the power of belief and faith. What does this mean for you? Simply put, whatever you deeply believe, your subconscious tries to make true. If you tell yourself, "I'll never be confident," your subconscious quietly works to prove you right. But if you truly believe you're capable, resourceful, or resilient, your mind and body start aligning with that reality. Now here's where people often go wrong. They try to fake believe. They say something like, "I'm rich," while deep down they're thinking, "Yeah, right, your subconscious doesn't buy what you don't buy." Another mistake is treating belief like a one-time trick. It's something you keep feeding every single day until your mind accepts it as normal. So, how do you do it right? Surround yourself with proof, even small wins, that back up your belief. Repeat affirmations with genuine emotion, not just like you're reading from a script. And most importantly, act like your belief is already real. Your actions reinforce your faith. When belief is emotional and consistent, your subconscious says, "All right, got it, let's make this true." And here's the exciting part. Belief gets even more powerful when you add feelings to it, which brings us neatly to the next technique, which tells us, it's not just what you believe, but what you feel that creates real change. Let's go there next. Feeling is the secret, folks. So, picture this. In the late 1800s, Nikola Tesla wasn't yet the legendary inventor we all know today. He was just a young man with these wild ideas about energy and machines. Most people dismissed him as eccentric, even delusional. But Tesla, well, he had a secret practice. He didn't just sketch inventions. No, he built them first in his mind. He would close his eyes, enter a deep state of concentration, and then live inside the invention. If it was a motor, he would picture the machine running, hear its hum, watch the sparks fly, even imagine the smell of oil and metal. He once said, "When I get an idea, I start at once building it up in my imagination. I change the construction, make improvements, and operate the device in my mind. It makes no difference to me whether I run my turbine in thought or test it in my shop." For Tesla, thought wasn't passive. It was emotional, sensory, and real. He felt the invention as if it already existed, and by the time he actually built it in the physical world, it was often flawless. Because in his subconscious mind, he had already tested it 100 times. Just think about that for a moment. Most of us wish or visualize half-heartedly, but Tesla felt his creations into existence. He emotionalized his thoughts so deeply that his subconscious treated them as real, and from there, reality simply caught up. And this is exactly what technique number 4 is about. Emotionalized thinking. It's not enough to think I will succeed, that's just words. But if you feel the joy, the excitement, the relief, as if your success has already arrived, your subconscious locks onto it and begins aligning your life with that reality. And this is where most of us go wrong. We think visualization means sitting for 2 minutes and saying, "I'll be rich, I'll be happy, I'll be successful." But let's be honest, when we do that, half the time we're just mumbling words with zero feeling behind them. That's like Tesla just sketching a rough drawing and saying, it'll work. He didn't do that, he lived it. He made his subconscious feel it was already real. And that's the secret. Thought plus emotion is what imprints on the subconscious. If you want more money, don't just say "I want money." Picture yourself holding it, hear the crisp notes, feel the weight. Imagine the relief of paying your bills with ease, the joy of surprising your family with something they've been wishing for. Make it emotional, because your subconscious doesn't respond to words, it responds to feelings. So if Tesla could literally build inventions in his imagination and watch the world catch up, what do you think happens when you do the same thing with your health, your relationships, your career? That brings us to technique number 5, where we'll take this even further and talk about how to give your subconscious clear instructions so it doesn't get confused. Back in the late 1800s, Thomas Edison was chasing what seemed almost impossible at the time, creating a practical electric light bulb. Now the funny thing is, Edison wasn't the only one trying. Scientists all around the world were racing toward the same goal. But here's where Edison was different. He didn't just try a few times and give up. He actually tested over 6,000 different materials for the filament. Bamboo, cotton thread, horsehair, you name it, he tried it. Some experiments burned out in seconds, others didn't glow at all, and people laughed at him. Journalists mocked him, calling his experiments failures. Even his own team grew tired. Imagine being his assistant, day after day, watching bulb after bulb go dark. At some point you'd think, all right boss, maybe this just isn't possible. But Edison didn't see it that way. When asked about all those failed attempts, he famously replied, "I haven't failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And then, after years of repetition, not days, not weeks, not months, but years, Edison finally discovered the right material. A carbonized bamboo filament that could burn for over 1,200 hours. That was the breakthrough that lit up the world, literally. And this brings us to the fifth technique of activating your subconscious mind: repetition and habit. Reprogramming through consistency. Here's the truth. Your subconscious doesn't respond to one-time events or occasional inspiration. It learns through patterns. Just like Edison's endless experiments rewired the path to discovery, your repeated thoughts, affirmations, and daily habits rewire the pathways of your subconscious mind. Where do most people go wrong? They try something once or twice, don't see instant results, and give up. They'll say an affirmation for a week and then declare this doesn't work. But the subconscious doesn't shift that easily. It needs consistency, rhythm, proof through repetition. That's how it starts accepting something as reality. Do it long enough, and just like Edison's assistant who eventually saw the light bulb glow, you'll witness your own subconscious catch on and say, "Oh, this is real now." And speaking of the subconscious catching feelings, that's exactly where we're headed next. Because the sixth technique is about adding emotional fuel to your thoughts. Let's go there next. There's a famous story about Dmitri Mendeleev, the scientist who created the periodic table. For years, he struggled to organize the known elements. There were too many gaps, too many missing pieces. He tried charts, numbers, experiments, late-night work sessions, but nothing clicked. Exhausted, he finally dozed off at his desk. And in that half-dreamlike state, the entire table of elements, perfectly arranged, flashed before his eyes. When he woke, he scribbled it down, and it was almost exactly the structure we use today. This brings us to our sixth technique: the power of the subconscious mind at work during relaxation and sleep. When the conscious mind steps aside, the subconscious is free to connect dots, form patterns, and deliver breakthroughs. The problem is, most people do the opposite. They push harder, stress more, overthink, and in that tension, the subconscious gets blocked. Think about it. How often do you suddenly remember someone's name only after you stop trying? Or solve a problem in the shower that you struggled with all day? That's not coincidence. That's your subconscious unlocking itself when you relax. So if you're facing a mental block, here's the trick. Instead of forcing an answer, step back, breathe, take a short nap, go for a walk, listen to music, or simply close your eyes and let the thought simmer. The subconscious will do its quiet work behind the scenes. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. We've now explored 6 powerful techniques for tapping into your subconscious mind. But the real question is, how do you put them all together in your daily life without feeling overwhelmed? That's what we'll uncover in the summary, tying everything into one simple framework you can actually follow. So let's step back for a moment. We started with a question: how can we unlock our subconscious mind for peak performance? We've just explored 6 powerful ways to unlock the subconscious mind, each one like a little key opening a hidden door. We began with autosuggestion and affirmations, where repeated words slowly become the blueprint for our reality. Then came visualization, with Jim Carrey vividly visualizing his future self as a successful Hollywood actor. Next, we uncovered how the power of belief and faith can shape the body and bend reality. We saw how a cancer patient, Mr. Wright, believed so strongly in the medicine given to him, which was actually a placebo, that his body responded to it as if it were real. That faith actually shrunk his tumors. From there, we moved to emotionalized thinking, with Tesla showing us how feeling an idea with all the emotions can bend reality itself. Then we saw repetition and habit, Edison's secret weapon that turned failures into stepping stones. And finally, we touched on sleep and relaxation, with how Dmitri Mendeleev saw the elements of the periodic table in his dream, highlighting how the subconscious mind works during relaxation and sleep. None of these techniques are flashy. They don't demand overnight change. But together, they shape how we think, how we act, and ultimately, who we become. The subconscious isn't some distant mystery. It's a mirror, quietly shaping everything you choose to feed it. And now you know the keys: visualization, affirmations, belief, habit, suggestion, and rest. The question is no longer, can I unlock my potential? It's, am I willing to step into the version of me that already exists within? So let me ask you, what's one small practice you'll start today to reprogram your mind? Drop it in the comments. You never know. Your shift might be the spark someone else has been waiting for. At Metanoia, we're not here to hand you motivation. We're here to help you find stillness, clarity, and power in your own silence. That's what Metanoia is all about. The quiet shift from knowing to becoming. And if this video stirred something inside you, like it, share it. Or subscribe for more videos that don't just inspire, they awaken the parts of you waiting to rise. Because this isn't just self-improvement, this is self-remembrance. And your next breakthrough? It begins where no one else is looking. Within. Thanks for watching, and truly, thank you for staying.